Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian Y and this is Foundations of Economics. In this video we're going to talk about public goods. Public goods are neither excludable nor rival in consumption. This means that it's impossible to prevent any individual person from using a public good, but the use of that public good by one person has no impact on anyone else's ability to use that good. Public radio is a good example of a public good. Unlike satellite radio, no subscription is required to listen to public radio. The operators of the radio station have no way to prevent any individual person from tuning in to listen to it. Public radio is not rival because one person listening to the radio has no impact on anyone else listening to the radio. Fireworks displays are another good example of a public good. Since fireworks shoots way up into the air, there's no way to exclude any individual person from watching. But if I'm watching fireworks, you can easily watch the fireworks too, and we don't interfere with each other at all. Public goods are characterized by the free rider problem. A free rider is a person who receives the benefit of a good without paying for it. People are able to free ride on public goods because they are not excludable. Let's consider an example. The local 4th of July fireworks display here in Vermilion, South Dakota, costs $8,000 to put on. Suppose there are 4,000 people in the town who value the fireworks display at $5. This means that the total benefit to the town for having the fireworks display would be 4,000 times $5, which is $20,000. Since $20,000 is bigger than $8,000, the benefits outweigh the costs, meaning that it's worth it to the town to have the fireworks. Suppose an enterprising entrepreneur wanted to put on the fireworks display and charge each person a $3 ticket. Since people value the fireworks at $5 each, they would be happy to buy a ticket and be left with $2 of surplus. The entrepreneur would make a revenue of $3 times 4,000, which would be 12,000, meaning they would be able to fully pay for the fireworks while still making a profit of $4,000. This all seems pretty good. The problem with this plan is that fireworks are not excludable. A person could simply walk up to where the fireworks is happening, and instead of paying the ticket seller their $3, they could choose to simply stand there and watch the fireworks. There's nothing anybody could do about that. Thinking about this rationally, the entrepreneur would realize what would happen and would simply choose not to put on the fireworks display. The town has now missed out on something that it valued more than it costs, thus losing out on $12,000 of potential consumer surplus. This example is an illustration of the free rider problem. Because public goods are not excludable, no individual person has an incentive to pay even if the price being charged is below their value for the good. $3 ticket was lower than the $5 value, but there's no reason to do that if you can just watch for free. Therefore, private markets will fail to provide public goods. Public goods have a positive externality. The social value of the good exceeds the private willingness to pay. In this case, the private willingness to pay is zero. This results in the amount of the good in the market falling short of the socially efficient amount. In the case of a public good, the amount being supplied by the private market is zero. As with other externalities, we generally require the government to step in. Let's return to our example. Suppose the town government decided to provide the fireworks. The government could pay for the fireworks by introducing a tax of $2 per person. This would raise the requisite $8,000 to pay for the fireworks, which would then benefit everybody a total of $20,000. This clearly shows that this public good was worth providing. What we've just done here is called the cost-benefit analysis. We determined the total value of the public good and compared that with the total cost of the public good. In our example, it was very simple, but in real life, cost-benefit analysis is quite a difficult and complex task. One reason for this is that even if the government were to ask people what their value for the good is, they might not tell the truth, or they might not be able to tell you accurately. In the case of private goods, the price forces consumers to be honest about their preferences, but when we're just asking them nicely, that might not be the case. I based this example off a real story. Typically, the government in Vermilion does supply the fireworks for the 4th of July, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2020 fireworks were canceled. Private citizens attempted to crowdfund the fireworks using GoFundMe, which is where I got the $8,000 figure. The campaign did not succeed, which is a good example of the free rider problem. Each individual person did not have an incentive to pay for the good. We see the same thing with other public goods. Public broadcasters, including radio and TV, are public goods. Typically, public broadcasters will solicit donations from their audience, but the private support that they get is generally insufficient to supply the good. This is why most public TV and radio stations are also supported by the government. National defense is a public good. The military cannot selectively provide protection to individual citizens in a country, so national defense is not excludable. The presence of the military protects everyone. It is non-rival because the fact that you are protected by the military has no effect on anyone else's level of protection by the military. The United States spends about $2,000 per person on national defense. This is the second highest in the world, right behind Israel in per capita defense spending. This is all paid for by taxes. What would happen if the government decided to stop using taxes to pay for the military and instead asked each one of us to donate $2,000? Each individual person would not have a very strong incentive to donate their $2,000, and most likely, if this happened, the military would cease to exist. This is another example where the government must step in and use taxes to pay for the good. The last example I want to talk about is basic research. Basic research is general scientific research without an immediate commercial application. Basic research forms the basis for applied research, which develops specific technologies from that general knowledge. Applied research is excludable through patents. This makes it possible for people to profit from applied research. It's very difficult to make a profit off of basic research, though. This means that even though the social value of basic research is high, the private incentive to do so is low. It's much easier to free ride off of someone else's research than fund your own. Because of this, the government subsidizes basic research through a variety of mechanisms. The government funds research through state universities and also through grants from agencies like the National Science Foundation. One of the problems that can arise here is that politicians often do not have a strong understanding of science and may not make the best decisions about what is the specific type of research that needs to be subsidized. In the next video, we'll talk about our final type of good, which is common resources.